5 Best Budget Gaming PC, 2022. Watch this video till end and subscribe to our channel. Let's start. Number 1. Alienware Aurora R13 Ryzen Edition. The Aurora Ryzen Edition R10 delivers the Zen 3-powered AMD Ryzen 5000 series CPU and either NVIDIA's high-performance RTX 30 series or AMD RX 6000 series graphics cards. This is one of the few places you might be able to find an AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT. Opens in new tab. 2. The Red Team GPU is actually capable of going toe-to-toe with NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3080. Opens in new tab. The latest AMD Ryzen processors are exemplary in terms of both performance and price. The Ryzen 9 5900X opens in new tab stands out as a spectacular chip not just for productivity but also for gaming. That 12-core, 24-thread CPU shows just how far AMD has managed to push its smart chiplet-based Zen 3 architecture in order to deliver an affordable, seriously high core count processor for a gaming PC. These used to purely be server-side specs. There are currently 11 different configurations on offer, though you can dig in and customize before you buy if you would prefer a different CPU or GPU or more SSD capacity. The selection starts with the GTX 1660 Super and a 6-core RX 5600X, going all the way up to the mighty GeForce RTX 3090. Opens a new tab in the monster 16-core, 32-thread Ryzen 9 5950X. Opens a new tab. You should definitely take a look at the configuration options, because the lowest spec option only comes with a single stick of DDR4 memory, which will have the available bandwidth compared to running a pair of them, even at the same capacity. That's expensive, however, and there are options to, say, either have one 8GB stick or two 4GB sticks. Take a look at the SSD on offer. 2. Something with a 256GB SSD in 2022 is not going to get you much change out of having Windows 11 and Forza Horizon 5 installed at the same time. Alienware is offering both the dark and light chassis options for the current lineup, and however you feel about the design, it does certainly make for a striking machine. The Aurora cases are not necessarily the easiest to upgrade due to their bespoke design. They are awkward to dig into if you want to start upgrading yourself, and you will soon see why they don't offer tempered glass side panels yet once you look inside. Number 2. Alienware Aurora R13. While the extraterrestrial styling may not appeal to everyone, the performance of Alienware's Aurora R13 gaming PC remains undeniable. The latest Aurora R13 uses a new design compared with its Aurora forebears and gives the Intel 12th Gen processors and NVIDIA RTX 30 series GPU home in Alienware's new chassis, with a window, no less. Like the Aurora R10 Ryzen Edition, Alienware offers the choice of both NVIDIA and AMD graphics cards, but you have to dig into the customization options if you want to pick from either the Radeon RX 6800 XT or RX 6900 XT cards. Alienware also offers 8 discrete configurations on its site, from low-end gaming rigs sporting the GTX 1650 Super and Core i5 12400F, all the way up to RTX 3090 gaming monsters. That gives you a range of Alienware gaming machines from reasonably affordable 1008 gaming right up to blistering 4K workload-smashing performance, and the Alienware AO cooling system will help keep the cozy interior of the case at a reasonable temperature. 2. Collapsed content. While the actual configs Alienware offers are great starting points, as with the Ryzen Edition, it's absolutely worth digging around in the customization options when it comes to picking the right rig for you. Our favorite setup, boasting the Core i7 12700F and RTX 3060 Ti GPU, only comes with a 512GB SSD, but is thankfully sold with dual-channel DDR5 memory, as opposed to the single sticks it has been guilty of in the past. The memory issue is something you had to be aware of when buying Alienware products. Previously, you'd have to go into the configuration options to select dual-channel memory options. This would then double your memory bandwidth, and it was a bit off when its machines were otherwise sold with the weaker solitary stick. Number 3. Corsair Vengeance. There's a reason Razer is desperate to follow Corsair's lead. It's one of the biggest names in PC gaming hardware right now. Through continual product expansion and some super smart acquisitions, Corsair now has its fingers in pretty much every facet of our hobby. In fact, CPUs, motherboards, and GPU are the only places you won't find a Corsair logo. But with its impressive line of premium gaming PC, that logo will still contain all three, the very finest of all that technical jazz. And if you're looking to kickstart your career as the next big Twitch streamer, Corsair's integration of Elgato streaming tech in its PC means they are a great option for the budding stream star. Likewise, the powerful AMD CPU/NVIDIA GPU combo means that you'll be able to play and stream most games without much trouble. What makes this system stand out is the optional Elgato 4K 60 Pro capture card in the specific streaming machines. This allows for delay-free 4K gameplay footage capture from your gaming PC, consoles, or 4K camera via HDMI. Sure, you can just use OBS Studio or NVIDIA's Shadowplay, or whatever it's calling itself these days. But there will always be some overhead to deal with. Using a professional capture card can really take the load off, and that's especially good for broadcasting a live stream. Since Corsair acquired Elgato, it now has access to some of the world's best streaming hardware for its Vengeance rigs. Pair that with Corsair's classic component quality, and you have a recipe for not only great gaming PC but fantastic streaming rigs, too. You gotta hand it to Corsair, it sure knows how to build a fine PC. We played with its more bespoke Corsair One PC, which look like the Mac Pro or softer Series X, and they're great little machines. But the Vengeance gaming PC are more straightforward, and that means they're also far easier to upgrade down the line. Corsair chassis are among the best around, and they're most accessible for DIY projects, which makes the Vengeance machines a great first PC with a view to getting into the upgrade game later on. The only issue with that is Corsair doesn't really lend itself to the more affordable end of the PC spectrum. Number 4. HP Omen. Hewlett-Packard has been around since before the Second World War, and that historical expertise is evident in the design and construction of the Omen line of gaming PC. I mean, they are slightly smaller than they were back in the day, but the heritage remains. HP Omen offers a wide range of customization options with its Omen 25L, 30L, 40L, and now 45L systems, allowing you to take your pick of AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA component CPU and GPU options. You can also take that configuration to the memory and storage requirements, too, allowing you to really tailor your system. HP Omen rigs are on the more restrained side of PC gaming, so you won't find an over-elaborate liquid cooling system or a massive suite of spectacular RGB lighting. Tall, surprisingly thin towers still contain some of the best hardware around today. Omen systems are appropriately named dense black blocks of computing power. If you value smooth lines and compact design over the flash and spectacle of RGB, you'll appreciate the dark, slightly brooding aesthetic of the HP lineup. We've looked at machines with last-gen processors in them, and that can be a good way to save a little cash because you can still get the very latest NVIDIA GPU inside them. You can also get last-gen GPU, but we'd advise you to steer clear of either the RX 5500 or RTX 2080 Super builds. Those are still relatively expensive, and the graphics hardware will date far quicker than anything else in the system. HP has recently updated its lines to offer more options from Intel's Alder Lake up, although it's worth noting that it is sticking with DDR4 on the memory front due to the high price of DDR5 right now. This may change down the line, but that naturally has us leaning towards its mid-range and budget offerings, simply because they make more sense from a value-for-money perspective. Number 5. Corsair One. Corsair has overhauled its compact One gaming PC with the latest parts from Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA, and we're absolutely here for it. The Corsair One A300 is the latest version of the compact high-end gaming PC. That's a lot of cutting-edge hardware for what can only be described as a hell of a lot of money. Don't dismiss the memory or storage in this rig either. DDR5 is currently incredibly hard to get a hold of. In 64GB trim like we have here, you know you're not going to come up lacking, and any game on this front is welcome. Yes, it's overkill, but it means you won't need to upgrade anytime soon. The Corsair One A100 and A300 deliver top-of-the-line gaming performance, which is perhaps unsurprisingly considering its credentials. Up to an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 Ti opens a new tab, and AMD Ryzen 9 5950X opens a new tab, while on the Intel side you can have the latest Alder Lake chips, such as the incredible Core i9 12900K, opens a new tab. It's wild what you can stuff into such a small chassis nowadays and have it run reasonably cool and quiet, too. Something that hasn't changed too much since it first appeared on the scene is that chassis. The idea of this being a beautiful PC is often banded around with expensive builds, but here it's genuinely warranted. This is a machine that you not only want to have in clear view on your desk, but it won't take up much room or make too much noise if you do. Honestly, this thing is much smaller than you might think, measuring half as deep as most mid-tower systems. The Corsair One achieves this by using two compact liquid coolers, one for the CPU and one for the GPU. You'll have to adjust your expectations for CPU temperatures perhaps a little above your comfort zone during intense operations. But there's nothing these chips aren't built to handle day in, day out. When you're dealing with high-end kit, temperatures can get toasty, very toasty. The Core NE12900K in this build is a power-hungry chip, drawing up to 241 W, and it can run hot when stressed even in much bigger systems with triple fan coolers. Here, I witnessed the CPU temps touch 100°C a couple of times in testing, resulting in the chip throttling back although only briefly even when pushed hard. This is still an incredibly powerful CPU too, so even allowing for this brief throttling, it's still one of the fastest machines I've ever used, and tops plenty of the benchmark tables. Overall, the Corsair One ably achieves what it sets out to do. It's a compact gaming PC that showcases the latest technology and impressively smart, and dare I say, beautiful case. It's a machine that many gamers would love to own, but few can afford. But for those that can, it's a treat.